Hi everybody, welcome to another video, this time a screencast that talks about theme. Karen and I talked about theme last week, but we're still getting some questions from folks. So we thought that we would augment this little discussion of theme with a short PowerPoint entitled Theme, What It Is and What It Is Not. There we go, and now we've changed the slide. Let's start with what it is not. A theme is not the main idea. The main idea is the main idea. A theme is not a topic is a topic. A theme is not a summary statement of the story. A theme is not a single word, and it's not an old saying like slow and steady wins the race. Those tend to be the kinds of things we see with parables and fables. We tend to think of those more as morals. And so that's what it's not. And sometimes it's easier to define something by what it's not. But theme is, Karen?
It is a message stated or suggested by the author, and it must be in a complete sentence. This is why we say, like last time when we were talking about 11, we can't just, the theme is not love. The theme is not family. That can't be that way. It needs to be a full sentence, and you'll see some examples in just a minute. Must be a truism. Terry, what do you mean by truism?
By truism, I mean that it's not true just for the world of the story. So if we pull themes for 11, which we've done before and we're going to do again, they have to apply to the world outside of the story, to the world outside of the novel. They have to be global, I guess would be kind of a good way to put it.
Okay. And so not necessarily singular, meaning you can have more than one theme in a story. And you're going to see a great example of that later. And it has to be something demonstrated from the text, meaning you can go in and you can point to the spot in the text that led you to believe that that's the theme of the story. You're going to provide evidence.
If you remember in the video last week, and if you haven't seen it, go back and take a look at it because it's really good. Karen and I talked about some possible themes, and these are just possible themes for 11. One of the first ones that Karen suggested, was that family is a place of refuge is a possible theme. That is a complete sentence. It is something that is a truism because it applies to the world outside of the story. It's something that we can demonstrate to the text by pointing back. And as Karen pointed out, she said, we know this because Rachel refers to her home as a place where she feels safe and loved.
Right. Another one would be memories will fade, but feelings do not go away as easily. Rachel, many times through the story, wished that she was 102. Because she would be older, she would be far away from this memory or this experience where she is completely humiliated in class. And remember, at the end, she wanted to be like a red balloon that was loose and going far, far away in the sky until it just looked like a red circle. And so that is the areas of the text that lead you to believe that memories will fade, but feelings do not go away easily would be a possible theme.
And finally, although this is not, we can still have more themes, but we talked about this last week. As we grow older, the years somehow stay inside us and threaten to come out at times. And there are numerous references to that throughout the text. Rachel talks about maybe her mom's feeling 5 because she needs somebody to kind of hug her. Or maybe she's feeling 3 because she begins to cry and there's spit coming out of her mouth and everything. There's a lot of reference to that. It's still inside me, it can still come out, it can threaten me at any time. That's an incredibly global kind of theme, and it certainly is a truism because it exists not just in the world of Rachel in the short story 11, but it exists in lots and lots and lots of other stories for other characters as well. And I would argue that it applies to us in real life, and I think that the best themes are sometimes those. These are 3 possible themes, and notice we always say possible, because if a student offers something else and then is able to point back to the text, then that person is putting forth a theme that we have to honor. It's one thing to just say, oh, we'll take any answer. So you can just say any sentence and we'll say that's fine. But unless we can say, why do you think that? Where is it shown? Point back to the text. We're not really just going to take all answers. And by the way, pointing back to the text, isn't that one of the skills that we want to look at over and over and over?
And two other things that really kind of back up this last theme is where she mentioned the layers of an onion and the rings of a tree. And so there's just a lot that you would point to make evidence for this theme. Now,
we want to take you to something a little different. I truly do believe that one of the best ways to teach theme and to get theme is to start with a picture book. Picture books are very short text. Good picture books have multiple themes and they're layered as well. And because they are so short, because we can share them within a short space of time, it is possible to read the book, then to go back and read pieces of the book and pause along the way and say, anybody see a theme developing here? That we can continue to do this. And the book that's always been my favorite for theme is Where the Wild Things Are by Maurice Sendak. And there are a couple of reasons for that. First of all, I hardly ever encounter someone who doesn't know the book. It's just one of those books that a lot of kids read when they were young. I didn't. I was 12 when the book was published. So I was a little bit beyond the audience, but it's certainly one that I've used in my children's lit class over and over and over again. And so we thought we'd start with Where the Wild Things Are, and we're not going to share the book with you because copyright.
That's right.
Hello. But we are going to talk about some possible themes and talk about how you can point back to the text for those themes. As the book opens, the first sentence, and I've read this so often, I've memorized the entire book, but the first sentence is, the night Max wore his wolf suit and made mischief of one kind or another. His mother called him Wild Thing, and Max said, I'll eat you up. So he was sent to bed without eating anything. That is an incredibly complex compound sentence. Try to diagram that.
And it gives you a hint already of a possible theme, which is listed on our screen here, of bad actions will have consequences. He was sent to his room.
And you can also see him using his imagination in the illustrations. There's a little drawing of a wild thing and it says by Max. That's foreshadowing, which is not what we're talking about here, but I just want to point out that here's a children's picture book. That one picture has foreshadowing, talks about consequence for actions, introduces us to who the character is and kind of sort of what he's all about. When it says make mischief, he's got a huge hammer, he's knocking holes in the wall, and he's hung his teddy bear by his arm. This is not, we're just fooling around. This is Max being a wild thing. And so you get to see from the first set of illustrations, from those first sentences, that Max is somebody who uses his imagination.
Right. And so then once he's in his room, that is where he sails off and goes to the island. And that very clearly shows that it's okay to use your imagination, and your imagination can take you places. Max there, I mean, for us and the reader of this book, we are immersed in his wild and crazy imagination of all of the wild things that he encounters on there. And it's like, let the wild rumpus start. I was thinking begin, but no, it's start. And from there, so that means he has tamed these wild things that he has met, which is also another theme. It's possible to confront and defeat your fears. These were scary monsters that he has now tamed. And because in one illustration, Teri, aren't they carrying him around? He is kind of their king. And so he has then tamed them and defeated his fears of these scary monsters.
And there's even a reference to that in the text, that he tames them by staring into all their yellow eyes at once without blinking. And so you can see that in the text, you can certainly see it in the illustrations as well. And again, a picture book really helps here because you've got that double. You can see it in the text, you can see it in the illustrations as well. So it's possible to confront your fears.
Mm-hmm.
Another theme happens when Max becomes lonely and says he wants to be where someone loves him best of all. And of course, we know what's coming there, but you can see his face, and it talks about the fact that you can have adventures, but when you're far away from home, sometimes you get lonely. Sometimes you want something, not that you can tame, but something that, or someone in this case, someone who loves you best of all. And that's the phrase that Sendak uses. And I think we all know what that means, because then a final theme, if you will, is...
Sorry, we've got a computer had gone to sleep here. The final theme that we're going to say is a final possible theme, which I would say is pretty darn clear, is when he does arrive back home, he finds his soup or his dinner still warm. And in the illustration, you can see the bowl there with the steam is still coming off of it. So as just in through the illustrations, we can see that even without the text telling us, but it does. His dinner is still warm, which Mom has sent him to his room for being a wild thing, but yet Mom has still cared enough to come into his room and left him his dinner nice and warm. And so that leads you to believe that Mom loves him best of all, but that also Mom's love is unconditional. Even though he's been a toot, she's still going to come in and give him love and take care of him.
So here are 6 possible themes. The book is 32 pages long, folks. So here are 6 themes in a simple, I would argue not so simple, picture book. And we can do that with lots and lots and lots of different picture books. And I would suggest that if you take kids through where the wild things are, that then it's time for them to practice. Give them another book, Peter's Chair. I love Peter's Chair. But it can be any book. I try to use books that I think are classics of children's literature, for lack of a better thing. So I like to show them Ezra Jack Keats. I like to show them Eric Carle. Mm-hmm. I like to show them some of the authors and illustrators we're going to be talking about during
Patricia Polacco would be a good one.
Patricia Polacco is also great. The Bee Tree. I mean, I think about all those wonderful books. Mm-hmm. So then you can have a variety of texts out on their desk. And this is, by the way, for kids of all ages. And you can have them read in a group. They can read individually. I'd probably go to a group next and then individually, and have them start coming up with, I see this theme, and here's where I point to the text. I see this theme, here's where I point to the text. So we can move from a picture book to a short story, to a poem, to a chapter from a book, to finally much longer works. But what we're ingraining, at least what we hope we're ingraining in the heads of people who are looking for theme, is there's more than one theme. It can't be stated simply. So that leads us to the last.
And so kind of use these 2 questions to help guide yourself and students to help you find the theme. What message is the author trying to convey to the readers? And is this message universal? Does it apply outside the story to the world at large?
Right.
So we hope this helps.
We hope it helps. And if you still have questions, leave them in the comments section at YouTube. We'll be happy to answer those for you. And if you have suggestions for other approaches you'd like to see, we're happy to do that too. We hope that we will continue to produce one of these about once a week or so. And we're going to start with some simple kind of literary terminology first, starting with theme, and then kind of moving our way slowly, using simple books that we think lots of different people will know. But we want to hear from you. If there are things that you would like us to talk about, things that you find difficult to share with kids, or things that you yourself find difficult to do, let us know, and we'll be happy to try to address those.